Russia has that kind of mindset of fake grandeur, and it's very history reliant in its future planning. So they think that sooner or later they can throw enough meat into the proverbial meat grinder to kind of to subdue Ukraine and go further. Because I mean, they're stating the Baltic states as their next target. They want to restore the Eastern European bloc, the former Warsaw Pact. I mean, that's all in Putin's head, and that's all in, the Russian population's heads and hearts. So I don't think they're feeling, that pressure that they're running out of options. They just kind of they feel that this war is turning from, Kyiv in 3 days into a very long war of attrition, as the graves keep building up in the graveyards. So I think if we want to end this war, I think one, we need to put enough pressure on Russia for them to reconsider. Two, we need to end the hypocrisy. We need to use everything at our disposal: economic pressure, economic sanctions, military aid to Ukraine, global kind of geopolitical stance on ending this war to make sure it ends. And last but not least, this war is not only about Russia and Ukraine. Russia's allies, such as North Korea, but I think, they're too far gone. I mean, they're a puppet state. But the likes of India and China, who are at best neutral in this war, the global, the global kind of people need to figure out the way to put pressure on them as well to be interested in getting Russia to stop.
Is your deadline still standing for Vladimir Putin to agree to a ceasefire tomorrow, or is that fluid now?
It's going to be up to him.
And
we're going to see what he has to say. It's going to be up to him. Very disappointed, yeah.
Does Putin have to meet with Zelensky in order and before you and Putin have to meet? Or are you
No.
Are you hoping
so you're willing to? That's actually important because President Putin said this morning he was pretty dismissive of this idea of meeting with President Zelensky. President Putin was.
I don't know. I didn't hear him.
For you to meet with him, he doesn't have to agree to meet with Zelensky. Is that what you're saying?
No, he doesn't. No.
Whatever Trump and Putin agree upon, if they meet, and it could both be good and bad for Ukraine, because I mean, certain things President Trump says are, music to my ears, as they say, because he understands that he needs to put enough sanction pressure and military aid pressure on Russia for them to consider ending this war, at least kind of approaching a ceasefire. And at the same time, Putin tries to manipulate and charm him, massage his ego into a position where Russia wins time, or moves the U.S. further away from helping Ukraine. So I mean, it's a 50-50 meeting with a 50-50 potential. But at the same time, whatever they decide upon, it won't be taken for granted by the Ukrainian people. We're an independent nation, we're an independent country, and I think we've paid bloody enough price and high enough price for us to make our own decisions. I'm an optimist in the sense that I think, regardless of what happens, if we're facing the worst scenario, we still have moves left, and that's important. So, is it dangerous, that meeting? Yes. Does it have potential to end the war? Yes, at the same time. So it's a very 50-50 situation. No, Putin can win in this war, he thinks. That's not true, but he thinks so. He's willing to sort of sacrifice further 1, 2, 3, 5 millions of lives for him to eventually kind of get that meat grinder to Ukraine's western borders or beyond them. And he's okay if it takes like 5, 10, 20 years, Russian economy and Russian society is already built upon this war engine. So, it's not in his interest to end this. That's what keeps him in power. So is he stalling? Yes. Are Russians' intentions genuine? No, definitely not. But there's one way of outplaying kind of that approach. It's to make this war too costly for Putin to continue. So basically put him in a position where continuing the war is more dangerous to him than ending it. Does President Trump have enough tools at his disposal to make that situation happen? Yes. Is Putin going to try and trick him into not using those tools or buying him more time or, trying to shift his attention and blame upon Ukraine? Definitely. Now, is it going to play out in the worst kind of fashion? I'm not sure. We'll have to wait and see. Russian economy is not doing as well as people think. And between the sanctions that are not yet imposed, between what Ukraine has not yet done but is capable of doing, this war can become incredibly costly for Russia. And when the general population start hurting from, the effects of that, the pressure on Putin to end this war, regardless of what's happening on the front lines, is going to increase. So that's one thing. Secondly, usually, a war of conquest ends in one of two ways. So one way is genocide. So when you eliminate the population, there's a scorched earth policy, and you take the land and kind of destroy any potential resilience and resistance there. The second option is when the deal is made. So basically, when you give a lot of time for the future generations after generations to make amends and live peacefully together. Russia has done already more than enough for this war not to have that second option. I think every Ukrainian here understands that if his particular plot of land, if this like geographical position where I am at right now is overtaken by the Russians, I will be dead. So will my family, so will my family, and so will everyone I know. It's a genocidal war. And basically that increases the cost of taking every single square centimeter to the maximum potential cost for Russia. And therefore, when people think it's going to take them like 3 or 5 years and another like million dead to take Ukraine to Lviv and beyond, I think it would take far more time and far greater death toll for them to achieve that. They have more people than we do. I mean, if it's like all in from both sides, sooner or later, and much later than sooner, Russia will eventually kind of bring that meat grinder to Warsaw and beyond. But the question is at what cost and whether the Russian population is going to accept it. That's why I'm saying, like, I don't believe this war is winnable in the way that Russia sees it. This war is not winnable for Russia within the next years or probably even decades. So I think if the world stands together, I think we need to figure out the way out of this war and the way of containing Russia and preventing further loss of life.
So, Vladimir, thank you very much. Thank you.